tuned into Breaking the Mask of Depression with your host, Diva with Depression.
Hello, guys. Hello. Welcome to Breaking the Mask with me, the Diva with Depression. I'm glad that you decided to step in today and listen to what I got going on. I hope everybody's doing well. What can I say? The world is still a shit show, so who knows? But I just hope everybody is finding their peace in the middle of the shit show. Today we are talking about, are y'all ready? ADHD. What the fuck happened to my brain? And I have one of my favorite people, everybody that comes on is one of my favorite people, but she's one of my favorite people. She's my baby. So welcome, Carmen. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Fine. Like we didn't just talk 5 minutes ago.
Right.
Thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
We have these 3-4 hour conversations. And let me say that again. We have 3-4 hour conversations. That's for the people that believe I don't talk on the telephone. So, we always have these great conversations. And because of your background, you enlighten me. So I figured you can come on and enlighten others. And since both of us, and the girls too, are struggling with ADHD, I think that it was a good time. I did a small episode about it, maybe a year ago, but I think that it needs to be discussed as it relates to mental health. And so it's Mental Health Awareness Month. Here we are. So tell me a little bit tell them a little bit about yourself and what your background is.
So my name is Carmen, or as the Diva with Depression would say, Baby Bird. I'm a registered nurse. It's my second career. I'm an author. I'm a mom. I'm a grandmom. I'm part of the sandwich generation who's momming my mom. And I have difficulty with attention.
Listen, I like that, the sandwich generation. Maybe that should be a topic too for a show.
Yes.
That I was thinking of the mother-daughter thing, but I like the sandwich generation. So you're a registered nurse. What area do you work in? What field?
So I currently work in population health. So I partner with doctors to help manage care of their patients with chronic health conditions.
Okay. So, but you always have such great insight. Do your patients have mental illnesses and anxiety and all those different things that you have to deal with?
Well, I would say in any space that we're in any career that you're in, whoever you're servicing or working with has mental health and anxiety issues. Well, not everyone, but there's going to be, a sample of your population that's going to be affected.
That's true. So how do you...
Right, if you're a teacher, your kid, your kids, your coworker,
That's true. And everybody today has a touch of some type of mental illness, anxiety, especially anxiety with the way things are going.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into it. Now, everybody always says ADD, and then I had to look up ADHD. I did that a couple of months ago, but ADD is the old term. ADHD is the new term. That's what they're saying. ADD is outdated. And so they're similar. Well, they're the same, except ADHD is a term that is, I guess, the sidebar of ADD. I don't know. But it says that ADD is out, ADHD is in. And we always think of ADHD and we think of kids. Immediately everybody thinks about kids.
Mm-hmm.
And we're here to talk today about the adults because we grown as hell and we can't remember shit. We can't do shit. We can't manage shit. We can't schedule shit. Look.
Correct. I was late to this podcast.
What time did we say we were going to get on today? And here we are. So Let me give, I always have my Google fact, right? So attention ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Is that okay? Is that good? You think that's good?
Yeah. And so I want to give the disclaimer that my
Okay.
appearance here today is not a clinical appearance.
Oh,
This
of course.
is a woman, a Black woman, middle-aged woman living with attention issues. And I'm going to rewind a little bit to the ADD because I don't know all the DSMs. I'm not, a behavioral health professional. But when way back when, when I was, knee high to a jitterbug, right? I was diagnosed with hyperactivity disorder.
Okay.
So I didn't even have the A, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was diagnosed with the hyperactivity disorder. Some of that includes who your doctor was. I had a family practitioner, so I didn't have a pediatrician. So that could be, some of the issues. And I'll date myself and say, like, we're talking like early 80s.
Okay.
So that could be an issue too, with recognition of disease and disease management. So I just want to throw that out there, that this is just your homegirl, your cousin.
That's right.
Who has attention issues.
Yeah. I always tell people, listen, you can listen to my show for my opinions, but go see a doctor.
Right.
You really, really are not feeling well. So you mentioned hyperactivity when you were younger. And so do you think that was the beginning of your journey with ADD, ADHD?
I don't think there's a beginning or end of the journey with ADHD, okay. Right? So that might be like, that was probably the catalyst that, my mom was like, hey, what's going on here? Right. So running in circles until I passed out as a little person. Right. When they talk about having to put me to bed at night, they talk about having to physically restrain me and rock me to sleep. When they talk about taking me out places, they talk about having to tie me into the stroller. Or, when I was too big for a stroller, like literally having to hold on to me so that I wouldn't go with a strange friend, like, this is my new friend and I'm going to go over here. When I was able to go outside, we lived in a safe little neighborhood, right? And so I would go outside in the morning and be back when the street lights came on, literally like riding bikes and falling and ripping and running. So I think that was just like, my behavior was the catalyst just to her, getting treatment or trying to get treatment.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds familiar to a lot of us that were not diagnosed with different things. I know for a fact that I wasn't hyper when I was younger, but there are other things that as I start reading and researching that I can connect the dots, like, okay, well, yeah, this is a little bit off. I was talking to the girls earlier and Tony says, make sure that you talk about Lauren having to have the leash on her wrist. And it's because Lauren, she will get caught up in something and then she'll just wander and disappear, like you said, going home with a stranger. And so it was just like, I have to hold on to Lauren because she'll go, oh, look, there's a kitty. And then she'll be gone and we'll be over here. So I think that's like, not that everybody that wanders and gets distracted has ADHD, but that is a key component. And
I'm still there. So like, my youngest daughter told me this summer, she was like, Ma, I don't see your ADHD until we go to the store. And because with the way you say, like, they probably need a leash for me because we'll have the list and we'll be going a certain way. And I'll be like, oh, socks. And then I'm gone and they have to like keep up with mommy. So yeah, it's same as an adult,
Well, it's Black children, of course, and Latino children are the last to get diagnosed with ADD, ADHD.
I think they're the first.
No, it says Black children are 70% less likely to receive a competent diagnosis, and Latino children were 56% less likely. Now, this was a 2020-2021 study, so the numbers may differ. But
I would argue that it doesn't say like it's an accurate diagnosis, because everything that a Black kid or Latino kid does is probably going to be ADHD, right? ADD. I think we're the first probably to get diagnosed or labeled. Let me say labeled, not diagnosed.
Okay.
from school psychiatry and such, we are probably over labeling and over diagnosing for Black and Latino kids.
It's a blanket thing.
Right. As opposed to an accurate diagnosis.
Yeah. It's always misdiagnosed. And the same thing with Black women.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Black women are misdiagnosed because we have so much going on. You know, we don't want to we don't want to go to therapy a lot of times, or go to psychological care, psychiatrists. And I mean, that's just a major thing because of the distrust. And we know that the cultural competent factor is out the window in some cases. So that's another reason why Black women are misdiagnosed. So what do you think? What do you think about that?
I think that I think it's a blessing to see more Black women and Black men in the mental health space as practitioners.
Yes.
Because I think that part of the biggest problem is it's difficult to diagnose and treat what you don't know. And I don't think that we are as forthcoming with our white practitioners. I don't know that we feel as safe with our Caucasian practitioners.
Yeah.
And culturally, when we invite, you know, it all falls, the whole system falls under the man, right? When we invite the man into our spaces, and when we're honest, there's a very real fear that there's going to be punitive, like there's going to be punishment associated with that. So is CPS going to come? Are the police going to come? You know what I mean? Like, what does this look like if I'm totally open and honest? And we're also tasked with protecting everyone else, right? So I don't want, you know, I don't want to, that what goes on in my house stays in my house. Is not just us being mean or trying to hide, you know, predators. It's for our safety, because that's how we survive. So I think we're just learning to open up in treatment. And I think that a lot of that, again, is the blessing of more people of color going into the psych space.
Definitely. And I mean, I know some states and areas have more. You're in a Baltimore, DC area. So maybe, do you think that there are more Black and brown practitioners in different states than?
I'm sure.
Like, I'm in Charlotte. Listen, it's a needle in a damn haystack here.
And I would think it would be different because, I would think it would be different.
Well, listen, when I moved back to Charlotte, I was looking for a Black female psychologist. And it said, I got excited because the site said, oh, there are 10. There was one in Charlotte. The majority of them are in the Raleigh Triangle area. Mm-hmm. So, you know, like I said, I think that sometimes it depends on the area that you're in. But you are right. We are seeing more, and thank goodness, because it's so hard to heal ourselves. You know, once we finally get up the nerve to go to therapy, and you have someone that doesn't even take the time to understand you, understand your pain, understand your background, and that just fucks it up all along. You know, you don't want to go back after that. So,
but I will say, and I stand on this, you know, I will stand on this forever. The first therapist that I saw was a white man.
Oh.
The doctor that I saw was an Indian man. And I would not be where I'm at in life now without them. They probably saved my life. You know, this isn't a depression conversation, so I won't go too far off in the ADHD weeds, right?
No,
but definitely, I would not be the woman I am today if I had not have met this Caucasian gentleman and this Indian gentleman, and they were soft and they were loving and they took the time, and I benefited from having someone outside of my demographic who wasn't as woo 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 black girl, you know, and I'm sure the comments are going to probably start trample over me for this, but I benefited from stepping outside of my demographic. It's not always like that. And so I don't want to even give like any false hope that it's always going to be like this. But it was they saved my life, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience for me.
Yeah, I just received some footage from an interview that I did a couple of months ago, and I do share that I never had. I think that my current therapist is the first time that I've had a Black or brown therapist. I've always had therapists that were outside of my race, and two of them were actually just absolutely amazing, and so I try to share that all the time, that, they're out there. There are people out there to help you. We just have to sometimes, like you said, step outside, and just give people a chance, because you need to heal. And there are so many people that don't look like you that are on your journey to healing.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, let's talk about symptoms. I know, right? I see your smile, right? So the symptoms, it's really funny to me because, there's an age difference between you and I.
Mm-hmm.
And so, whereas I'm I'm over menopause age, pushing towards the end of the road for that. But I also have that depression and the anxiety and all of that stuff. So that was what the problem was, as I was reading a lot of these studies, is that they're saying because of underlying mental health problems, that it's hard to pull the ADHD out of it. And then it's like, who came first, the chicken or the egg?
Right.
Did you get depressed because of this? It's the up and down thing. So because of the mental health side of my issues, I just started realizing maybe a few years ago that we've all been having these conversations about the ADHD side of my mental health. And so I think that once that was pulled out, it's just like the PTSD. Once PTSD was pulled out and the ADHD was pulled out, things made sense. So I'm saying all of that to say, we cannot, people, let me listen up, y'all. The symptoms that go with ADHD, it is not always because you're in menopause. It's not always because you're got a mental illness, but these are some of the major depressions, the top tier symptoms of ADHD. So
and they're not always symptoms of ADHD. So, throw that monkey wrench in there.
Exactly. Because it's like absent-minded.
Talkative.
Look, absent-minded, attention sucks, fidgeting, time management, procrastination, overstimulation, and irritable. I've been irritable since birth.
Hyper focused. Like being hyper focused on things.
Right.
You have that side of ADHD as well.
Right. So what do you think give me your top three?
I definitely get hyper focused. I don't have a top three. I'm such a mess. I definitely get hyper focused. It's funny. I was talking to somebody yesterday and I was saying, like, people like joke about ADHD. And there was one time I heard a girl be very honest and say, like, I've literally peed on myself being hyper focused. Right. And I was saying how, like, I have those times where maybe I haven't had, an accident, but I have ran to the bathroom last minute because I have held for an hour or two because I'm super focused on one thing. It's a superpower and a curse. So hyper focus, overstimulation is definitely one. My poor children. Talkative is definitely one.
Okay. So
I'll leave it at those three because I'll leave it for you. I'll leave it at those three.
No, but explain to us what you mean by overstimulation.
So I get irritable.
Right.
I don't like when I'm overstimulated. I don't like touch.
Okay.
I kind of shut down. That is actually some of my the times where I hyper focus the most when I'm overstimulated, because it's kind of like, if you could think of a blur on everything else, I just don't have to focus on the 50 things that are going on,
Right.
Or need attention. I think agitated is probably the and fidgety.
Okay. Yeah. That was one of the top ones. Fidgeting was a top one.
There's so much more.
Like you just, yeah, you just sit here like, okay. I think my top ones are the absent-mindedness, procrastination, time management is fucking out.
What is time?
Oh my gosh. And I was talking to the girls because I said to the girls, well, give me your top ones. And the both of them, that was the first thing they say. Time management sucks. We were, when we were at the wedding, we only had to get on the elevator and go upstairs. Why? Why? We were in the building and we're still sitting there like, doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo. But, we laugh about it, but it's a form of stress. Yeah, it's not funny. It's funny when we're having a conversation, but we're in the throes of this. It's not funny. It's like, God damn it. Why can't I remember, why did I come in this room? And why did I leave that paper there? And we brush it off as, oh, well, maybe she's getting older or maybe, whatever. But it's really, I say to my therapist all the time, me not being able to focus, read a book, write a book or anything like, I don't know how the hell you do it. Me not being able to get organized enough to do. Listen, people can't see, but you see my book is all, it's stapled with Post-it notes and stuff, because it's really, really, like Tony said, debilitating.
Yeah, I keep saying I'm going to post a picture of my desk to show people what ADHD looks like.
Listen.
Yeah. Time suck. Literally, like, for this call, I checked with you and said, what time? You told me the time. Okay. So I said, I have an hour. I want some ice cream. Why I want ice cream right now? Whatever. I can't find my bank card. Two of my bank cards. One of my bank card is the one where I don't know what the balance is on this, right? So I say, because I'm not using credit, I'm at this point where I'm not using my credit cards, they're not in my wallet. I'm not using them. So I'm like, I'm going to run to the ATM for my savings, but I can't go to another ATM because I'm not going to pay the fee. So I go to the ATM for my savings. I get $20 out of my savings account. I drive down to Dunkin' Donuts and I get my Dunkin' Donuts, and then I come back home. But then I had to do like 3 or 4 things before I could get on camera, and I'm texting you like, hold on, right? But I didn't, like, in my mind, an hour was enough to do everything that I might need to do. It's just like, it definitely wasn't. And I can find a way to make a 15-minute task last 2 hours.
Yes.
And it's like, it's like you said, it's laughable, but it's like, you're never on. If you are on time, you're rushing or you're early. You were awake 3 hours early, but you got there late. It's always like, of course you're anxious.
Exactly.
Because you're always having this sense of urgency.
Yeah. And 8 million people are living with this, like some form of this. So we're all walking around running the hell into each other and, yes. Being hyper and being a mess. But 8 million people live with ADHD. And that made me sad a little bit.
Yeah.
Because oh my gosh, talking, you and I talk all the time. And one of the things that I don't like about having this platform is that you meet people. I meet people that are feeling like me. And I don't want anybody to be in that space to feel like me. And so when you think about 8 million people or 1 million Black women, we're all walking around with this undiagnosed thing, whether it be the ADHD, the mental illness, the PCOS. Let's not
Yeah,
even,
that's a whole nother
oh my
beast.
gosh.
Yeah.
You know, and that's another reason why the misdiagnosis comes in, is because what the hell is it? You know,
Right.
like,
Is it just stress?
right. Or the superwoman thing. So let's
Right.
talk about that for a few minutes. Why we always got to be superwomen?
Well, I think that as it relates to ADHD.
Yeah. Well,
I
not
think
really ADHD, but you know, that's part of the reason why we don't make time to go get treatment sometimes, because we're trying to do everything and avoiding that.
well, I think in 2023, we can understand that girls have ADHD, but it's
We
still
did.
ingrained in our brains. When you think of ADHD, you think of a little boy disturbing the class, throwing rocks, fighting, like, and you don't think of a talkative little girl,
Right.
or a little girl whose head is in the clouds. And so I think it's hard for us to even fathom that women have ADHD. Oh, depression, sure. Little girls, of course, they can be depressed, but they don't have ADHD. So I think that's the biggest thing, is that we don't even think that. We just think, I can't get my shit together. Why can't I get my schedule? I should be able to manage 50 things. I should be able to get everywhere on time. Why can't? What's wrong with me? You know, like my daughter, like I'm telling my daughter, saying like, I didn't see it until I started paying attention to you in the store, right? And so I think that the problem is, it's not even on our radar. ADHD, that's little kids at school, little boys.
Right. Right. And that was one of the reasons why I said maybe I needed to take this further, because you're right. It's always, and it, more white children are diagnosed with it out the door, you know.
Well, correct. I would still say correctly diagnosed,
right,
accurately diagnosed.
Right, according to the statistics. But we know that, you know, nobody takes the time to sometimes to needle down and say, you know, I was reading a couple of stories, and there's one great article in Ebony that I'm going to post as the show notes for this. And it was 3 different women, and it was, you know, one woman said that she was hyperactive and irritable. And so, of course, they pegged her as a troublemaker, you know, or she had an attitude. And then, you know, the angry Black woman, you know, another
that
one.
She's overstimulated,
yeah,
and overwhelmed.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's no, you know, like, people don't think of it. And we, like you said, we don't think of it. I didn't know, you know, that this was something separate. I was just like, well, I went into menopause early. I went into menopause early, you know, after having my last one. And so that's what I attribute everything to, you know, when it got to.
But when you backtrack, right? When you go back, right?
Yeah.
You're able to be like, oh, I see it at 17. I see it at 15. I see it
Right.
at 12. It's when you backtrack, I think, that you can see. I was blessed. I'll be honest. I was blessed because I wasn't medicated. I'll know Dr. Malvin, white male doctor, was just like, oh no red dyes, no added sugars, no caffeinated drinks, no this. Like, literally, when I would go to my cousin's house and they would have all the good cereal, I would be so ecstatic because I had like Cheerios, Rice Krispies, and Frosted Flakes, right? There wasn't no Kool-Aid or nothing like that. There were no ice pops. And I grew up in a time and in a place where I could literally run myself to sleep. And so that is a blessing. And in some ways, for me, it's a curse, because I look at the medicated people with ADHD and I kind of look at them like, wow, this is awesome. Right. But then I'm like, I'm not. But I haven't gotten back to the no dyes and the no sugars. Right. And so it's like, something's got to give, hun. You're going to be medicated, or you're going to manage it with lifestyle. And so, like, I my hat's off to the people who are medicated.
Yeah. That's what one of the women said in the interview. She's like, when I see people that are taking medication and they're functioning, I'm so jealous. Like, give me what you got. And, sidebar, like now we're going through a shortage with all of those medications.
That's scary for me. Yeah.
It's very, very scary. Very scary.
Because you haven't been taught the lifestyle management of the disease.
Right.
So it's like with like you're just snatching drugs. I mean, and then these aren't illicit street drugs, but you're snatching drugs from someone and expecting them to have there to be no backlash or no negative outcomes.
Right. And, in a lot of cases, and this is our ADHD conversation, because where the hell is this? But, well, it does apply. But a lot of cases, like my first time taken, and maybe a couple of times through my lifetime, my primary care physician is the one that prescribed my depression medication or, for energy, anxiety medications and stuff like that. So, like you said, you're letting people out and they don't have the skills to manage without the medication, because they may have never seen a psychologist or a psychiatrist. They got the medication from their primary care physician. And, I was going to do an episode about the shortage of medications, and I may still do like a short episode about it, because it's really, really, really awful and out of control.
Yeah, I would say, just as a nurse, I would say any disease process that you have, always listen to the lifestyle management tools that you're given. We're not giving them to you just because it's Wednesday and we don't have anything else to do. Right. Always listen. That doesn't mean, like, there are some people that are not going to ever be able to manage whatever disease process they have, be it, diabetes or depression, without medication. And that's perfectly fine if that's who you are. But also start setting up those lifestyle interventions to help better manage. It's not gonna, that still doesn't mean you won't have any negative outcomes from being snatched off your meds if you are. But at least you'll have some tools in your tool basket, because it's really hard, on the other end, to be like, well, I can't go to the pharmacy, I can't go to the company and make more meds.
Right. It's awful.
And then you have somebody who's gotten the benefit and they're living a functional life, and now they don't have the medicine on board. And besides the cascade of other issues that it can set off, it's just like, imagine just being dumped in the throes of ADHD after you haven't been there. If you're in college and you got ADHD and you're thriving, and then all of a sudden what do I need to, then I got to go buy drugs off this, like, literally, because people, what am I buying drugs from the guy around the corner?
Right. And I think more needs to be done. I think that if people are glossing over it, and people in the powers that be are glossing over it, but they don't understand, like, exactly like the way you just broke it down. My whole life can fall apart because I don't have med management. And then I can't pay
my bills, right? Because I can't remember, okay, like, I'm going to shine a spotlight because I've had financial issues secondary to, attention issues. So now I can't remember to pay my bills. I know I got to pay the bill on Friday. And now it's like Wednesday, the following Wednesday, I'm like, oh crap, I was supposed to pay the bill, so now it's impacting the economy. You know what I mean? Like, so we have to find a way to supply needed medicine better.
And I love that you just brought up that example, because I will tell you that there are times the electricity has gone off, and I remember my ex was getting ready to throw me out in the street because why is the electricity off? You had the bill, like, whatever. And I was like, I didn't remember. Or I'll make a payment arrangement, forget about it. Like, I'll pay this and just forget about the payment arrangement. So I have had that, electricity going off, forget about my cell phone now that it's on me. Listen, it doesn't matter how much I write stuff down, how much I put it on my calendar, I'm going to forget something. I had a meeting this morning that I agreed to do it a couple of months ago. I think I told you. I didn't know what the hell I was going on there to talk about. And so when she came on and she introduced herself and she goes, so we're going to talk about, and she told me, and I was like,
Okay.
What I'm supposed to say about that? you know, um, but I'm glad that you and I are having this discussion and being candid, because people think that there's something wrong with them if they're going through these things.
Right.
Like, you forget to sign the trip slip for your children to go on the
Oh
trip,
man.
or forget about getting the
Or
kids
get the cash.
the lunch.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even carry cash, because listen, aside really, really quick, I went to Aldi's today and went into sweat panic mode because I didn't have a quarter for
The card.
and I'm like, I always have the quarters here. Where are they? And then once I calmed down and looked through the bag, I found the quarter. But it's like I said, it's funny, but it's scary also, because
Yeah. Yeah.
we just don't know what the hell is going on anymore. And the connection is too close, with the ADHD and the anxiety and the mental health problems. It's too close for comfort,
Mm-hmm.
and it
I
looks
love
like
that you said that like that, because it's not comfortable. It's a
right,
very uncomfortable space to live in when you have a degree and you're a
right,
practitioner and you hold this title and you have these initials behind your name, or you're a doctor or you're a lawyer, and I can't get it together. So I think I don't know if I want to segue a little bit. I don't know, I don't know if this was on, your bullets, but it's okay to invite people in. It's so like I have a family member who money is her thing. She's degreed in money, and so like I'm impulsive. And so I have, I'm still somewhat impulsive, but for
mhm,
larger purchases, I stop and I ask her, can I do this? I
mhm,
ask her permission, and she can't give me permission or
right,
deny me permission,
right,
but she can walk those steps. She can walk, her brain works in a way that she can walk step by step through the ramifications of this decision. She was able to take all of my debts and put them into like spreadsheets with barcodes and pie charts. And if you add this much to this payment, then it has this long-term impact. And I can't do that. But she made it so I just had to plug numbers in. She gave me this visual representative of what my financial position looked like. And I
mhm,
was able, as someone with a single mother, with, a demanding job,
right,
attention issues, anxiety, and poor spending habits, I was able to start digging my way out. And I mean, like, I'm almost to the top now, you know what I mean?
right,
And
right,
so, like, it's okay to invite people. It's okay to have a therapist and you're not depressed. It's okay to have a therapist because I have difficulty managing my time. I have difficulty managing tasks and finding organization, and I need help. It's okay to get a organizer or your cousin or your friend who's great at organization to come in and help you. It's okay to body double, right? And have somebody come, while you're doing your work, they're doing their work. Or, while you're doing, grab your stuff, go to the laundromat. While you're doing your laundry, they're doing their laundry, and you're able to do it together,
right,
but not together, and get the task done.
right.
um, I think that it's important to remember that to stop hiding these things under the covers, to pull the sheet back and let's look at it and see what we can do. This is your brain. Your brain isn't going to change.
Right.
So how
Right.
do we manage life with this brain?
Right. Of course you're right, but the flip side is that the judgment and the embarrassment is more overwhelming for some people than opening up and doing the right thing. So yeah, we've had this, like I said, we've had this conversation before. I'm not letting anybody come in to go into my bedroom, because they'll go in the closet and they'll be, like, and if they're an organizer, they've seen everything. But to me, they haven't seen it,
Right. And they haven't
Right.
seen yours. Correct.
Yeah.
But I will
Yeah.
say a friend of mine just had, she was, in the throes of depression. And her cousin was doing a layover in her city, and she was at the pit of depression. And her cousin called like, hey cousin. And so she said, oh, I'll come meet you. right? That's the code for somebody suffering from depression, anxiety, and ADHD. With my shit is not together, and I don't want you to see it. Okay. So she said, "I'll come meet you," and her cousin said, "No, I'm coming to you." And she showed up on her doorstep. And I mean, they were able to, pray, and they were able to, she opened like, "No, I want to see it all." And she was able to help, like, okay, call a cleaning company. I'm going to pay for it. Like, it was just the perfect storm for her to get the support she needed where she was at, and not to keep circling the drain. And so there are some people who are going to be nasty. There are some people who are not going to understand. There are some people that are going to say, "Oh, you're just lazy. You're just absent-minded. Why don't you just get it together? Write it down. I have 15,000 pieces of mail with it written down on. I can't put this together well, or I'm not doing it well." But there are people, I just want to encourage people that there are people out there who will body double with you. There are people out there who will support you, and not necessarily do it for you, but who will support you through that and not shame you.
Right.
Because with somebody with ADHD, you throw us in a shitstorm, we can pull it together. That was what I loved about bedside nursing. There's these periods of time where everything is in the air at once, and you have to be able to function in that.
Right.
Here I am. You know what I mean? But we can't live life like that all day, every day.
Yeah. And I think that, thank you, because I think that was something that needed to be said, because there are so many of us that, and I say us, I'm not ashamed, I'm not hiding it, but I'm one of those people, that is ashamed to show certain sides to other people. And I know that there are so many others out there like that. And so what you just said was an absolutely fabulous reminder that, it's okay, even if you have to give a little bit, that little bit can mean a lot if your house is in disarray, or if your mind is in disarray. And like you said, you can find somebody to do what you can't do.
And the somebodies, listen, there's something that you can't do well, that you don't thrive at. So remember, when you are that somebody that's called upon for your friend with ADHD, with depression, with anxiety, with whatever, or who's just going through a rough patch with postpartum, whatever, that, you have that thing. It may not be your closet. It may be your money. You have that, we all have that thing that we don't want somebody to see. So just think about your thing when you're supporting someone else.
Yeah. That's why I talk to you all the time. I want to ask you this question real quick, because it ties into what we're talking about. You said that you were an author. You're an author. How many books have you written?
A couple.
Okay. So, and how the fuck do you write a book with this? With this shit laying down on top of you? Because I can't even think to write show notes, and you're writing whole goddamn books. How do you do it?
I think that again, there's a lot of pieces of mail. There's a lot of bank statements, and on the back of them they have notes. That's an outline, quote unquote. My editor is ridiculously organized. For my first book, I definitely had friends who would be like, "You can't come out today. You have to write." I use my notes section of my phone. It's a mess. So it's a mess. But when I do get to those points where I can hyper focus, it's awesome, because I can live in my head. I can be creative. I can let my head run wild. And at this moment, nobody's going to see it but me.
Right.
And when my editor sees it and there's craziness, she'll fix it or send it back to me to fix. I think I just have a great team. I have a great team. My oldest daughter is organized, right? And she's like a business brain. So I have her. I have a friend who is my dedicated test reader who will tell me when my work is in Pig Latin. I have a yoga instructor who is the bomb, who will sit with me in all of my craziness and, help me sift through it. I have a therapist who, where would I be without her? Older Black woman who looks like the favorite auntie, but will give it to you straight up and pat you on your back a little too, So I just think that I've been blessed. I have you, who I can do my ADHD ramble to. But I just been blessed with people in my life who have shown up for me.
I think that, and actually I talked about this in an interview last week, that when you have those people that are by you, you have people that support you and hold you up when you need to be held up. Like, there's no greater feeling, because when you get caught up in these different diagnoses and these symptoms, you feel like shit, and you feel like you don't matter, you don't feel like you're worthy. And so having teams around you to say, you are worthy, and, you are doing fine, and, you call me for your ADHD ramps, and I call you when I'm feeling like the world is just closing in on me. So I think that it's amazing to have a support system in place for that.
And music without words, people like, I used to hear people say, oh, play music when your kids have ADHD when they're doing their homework and they'll be able to do it better. Music without words. So like lo-fi or jazz or something like that. Not, your favorite hip hop songs, musical. No, because you're going to be rapping the song. Right. Not Mary J. Blige's music, because you're going to be singing her songs. Right. But that music, it does something with the ADHD brain. I don't know it's a thing, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know the science of it, but it kind of, those two activities at the same time kind of help you to finish what you've set out to do.
Okay. Someone was telling me, the white noise, or the raindrops, or whatever the case may be, which you can find on YouTube, everybody. You can find music without words and white noise and raindrops and lemons and all that shit on YouTube. And find one that helps. I did find it one time, and it did help me calm down enough, not to sleep, but to just calm down
rest
enough. Yeah, so I know that it works. Carmen, you're gonna have to come back for part 2, right? So just put it in the calendar, and hopefully, maybe we can bring some more people on to have this discussion. But I thank you, because you were real. You were the really real, and you shared some of yourself, but you also shared things that we're all going through. And that's our goal, is to make sure that the people in our communities understand that they're not by themselves, and that, a lot of us have shitty closets, a lot of us, forget to buy groceries and give the kids lunch money. And it helps to know that there are more people out there, and that it's okay, because you're still here telling the story. So that means that it's okay. We can survive. So promise you'll come back.
I promise I will come back. And I just hope that everybody out there who's listening that thinks that they may have ADHD, not specific to women, but yes, women and Black women, get help. And that the help doesn't mean medicine. Don't be ashamed because granny told you, because you don't wash dishes at the right time, that you're nasty and you're lazy, because boyfriend or husband berated you because you didn't pay the bill on time. Get help. We don't have time for shame. We cannot make it to the mountaintop being shamed. Exactly. We got to get there. Exactly. So I love y'all. I love you, Dee Dee.
Love you. And thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing some secrets with us and sharing what you go through and how you overcome them. and sharing your nurse side, because you tucked it in there, even though you gave the disclaimer at the beginning. So guys, please, 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 if you don't follow me already, go follow me everywhere. Listen to the podcast, share, go back, because I did ADHD, ADD episode, I want to say, about 6 or 7 episodes ago. So go listen to that one, and then listen to this one, and then get ready for the next one, because May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we are trying to get you guys straight. We want to let you know that you are not by yourself, and that there are so many of us that struggle. So listen, share. If you know someone that is struggling, share, follow me, give me some reviews, talk to me. I won't get offended. Thank you so much for listening to us. Thank you, Carmen, again for joining
You're
us.
welcome.
And we can't wait till you come back. And you guys stay well and find some peace and be safe. Bye.
Bye-bye.